Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawahshi, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, when acknowledge Al-Akyam, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, let's see. So I'm in Mark 9 through the Spirit, and it says, verse 1, And he said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that there be some of them that stand here which shall not taste of death till they have seen the kingdom of the Most High come with power. So, Yahawahshi, when he made that statement, you have to understand that he's talking about in the times we're in now. He was prophesying about the time we're in now, where the return of Yahweh Bashem Yahawahshi. Because obviously, Peter, and who else did he say that to? Let me look up a little bit. Well, I didn't read chapter 8, but Peter was one of them. Well, maybe it had been Peter, James, and John, like we're about to read here. But he said, you're not going to taste of death till you see the kingdom of the Most High come with power. And what he's speaking of is in these last days, right? When Yahawahshi returns, there's some of us like we've been teaching you, the last, ever since we've been on the YouTube channels. But we're saying that, the elect, starting out with the prophets, we're not going to die. If you get taken up in a chariot, you're going to be changed in a moment, the twinkling of an eye. You're not going to die, right? Was it 1 Corinthians 15? Towards the end. First Corinthians 15 and 52. Well, I'll show you 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and the mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? See that? So if we're those men and we're of the elect, then we're not going to taste death. Not even nuclear fire is gonna be a threat to us, right? Let's get that in Isaiah 54:17. It says, No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and the righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh. Right, so that's why we can't even take credit for the work we do, because we always have to, just like Yahawahshi, anytime he did a miracle or he did something divine, the people were like trying to praise Yahawahshi. He always deflected it back to the Father, Yahweh. So that's the same spirit we should be in. If people say, "Oh man, you're so wise," or you, oh, where do you get all this wisdom? You got to be humble, and you got to give the real credit where the real credit's due, and that's to Yahweh Bashem Yahawahshi. Because our righteousness is of Yahweh. All right. Any understanding that we have is because of Yahawahshi. So let's get back to Mark 9 and 2. After 6 days, Yahawahshi taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into a high mountain apart by themselves. Salaki, I can't shake this damn cold. But it says this cough, is kicking my ass. But anyway, he leadeth them up into a high mountain apart by themselves, and was transfigured before them. All right, and when you go to that word transfigured, it means changed, or to be made bright. So it's kind of like when Moses came down from Mount Sinai after he received the laws of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahawahshi, and he was glowing. This is that same type of transfiguration that Yahawahshi did in this that we're reading about here in verse 2. He was basically he started glowing, shining. And let me read 3. And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow, so as no fuller on earth can white them. So his clothing was shining too, right? And a fuller is somebody who would, in the ancient time, it'd be like a dry cleaners, like taking your clothes to the dry cleaners, and they get your clothes right, they take out all the stains, iron you up. I would have been like a fuller in an ancient world. But it says here that his clothes were shining, and the raiment was as white as snow. Like no fuller could have made it look the way he was looking to his disciples. It reminds me of this verse in Ecclesiastes. And it's the wisdom. The Yahawahshi was constantly teaching the men, his disciples, and he was Yahawahshi, so he had an ability to transfigure, like we're reading here. Right here, Ecclesiastes 8 and 1. Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? And what's the interpretation of what thing? It's the scriptures, the knowledge, right? The wisdom. A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. And so that's when we read in Mark 9, and reading about the transfiguration, Yahawahshi was changed. He was made brighter. He was shining. He was glowing. You see? And what's a thing that makes men to shine is the ability to interpret this knowledge, to understand this truth. Changes the boldness of a man's faith, like we just read. So let's get back to verse 4. And there appeared unto them Elias and Moses, and they were talking with Yahawahshi. So now, there was some more divinity going on in this chapter. After Yahawahshi was, shining and glowing, all of a sudden, Peter, James, and John, they notice Yahawahshi talking with Elias and Moses. And Elias is another word for Elias is the Greek way of saying Elijah. So they saw Elijah, Moses, and Yahawahshi in verse 5. It says, and Peter answered and said to Yahawahshi, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias, or Elijah. Verse 6. For he wist not what to say, for they were sore afraid. So Peter's like, hey, he felt like the honorable thing to do was to set up a tabernacle or a church for each of the men. And if you see this, like if this happened right now, yeah, we'd be afraid. That would be. I mean, we'd be rejoicing and afraid at the same time. There'd be a ball of emotions to witness something like that. You see, you could imagine. Verse 7. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my beloved son, hear him." Right, so the cloud is what? We'll go get it in Psalm 104:3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot. All right, so there was a chariot that was above them, and that's probably what was, causing like the hologram. It would have been like how Esau has hologram. They got like the Tupac holograms and things like that. So this is how the Elijah and Moses were standing there with Yahawahshi talking to him, right? So if you can imagine, underneath that chariot, or what you call a UFO, the hologram of Elijah and Moses was standing there with Yahawahshi talking. So, you got to think, man, Esau Edom, if he can make a hologram of Tupac, then you can bet the farm that the Most High Yahweh, he can do the same thing. He's got technology way beyond Esau Edom, so this is not unrealistic, because people will be like, oh, well, they don't have the faith to believe what we're reading here. Mark 9 and 6, 7, no, 8. And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man any more, and Yahawahshi only with themselves. So the chariot dipped out, the holograms dipped out, Elijah and Moses wasn't there anymore. But I mean, they saw 3 men talking to Yahawahshi, 2 men, So let's see what it says in verse 9. And they came, and as they came down from the mountain, he charged them that they should tell no man what things they had seen till the Son of Man were risen from the dead. So Yahawahshi was like, hey, and that's what we do. People, Yahawahshi was like, hey, keep this on the down low. Don't say nothing about this, And I've had men, I've had conversations with men who I thought may be of the elect, and you can usually read the spirits, usually have a discernment with the spirits. And if you're talking to somebody, you start prophesying and feel like they're receiving it, feel like they could be of the elect, then you can share things with them, and you get men will ask, well, hey, well, where can I learn more? Can I have your number, or can I have your channel? And sometimes you gotta just be like, you know what, I can't give you the channel, or I can't give you my phone number, right? Like, just keep this between me and you, what I'm telling you, or sometimes you gotta you can pray on it, but we move in the same spirit as Yahawahshi, man. Because I just reading that, it brought that into recollection that, hey, there's been times when I've talked to men, and they'll request for more information, or my phone number, or the channel, and you just gotta just like Yahawahshi, he said, hey, man, keep this between us, And what is that? That's moving with circumspect, moving with wisdom. You can't give your pearls to swine. You don't want to give the meat to the dogs, right? So, let's see. Where we at? Verse verse 10. And I'm going to stop at 13 because my throat is just it's causing me to cough. It's too itchy. Verse 10, it says, "And they kept that saying with themselves, questioning one with another what the rising from the dead should mean. And they asked him, saying, Why say the scribes that Elias must come first come?" So they were perplexed, right? They were like, all right, well, we saw Elijah. Well, why does the scriptures, because they knew the prophecy that Elijah was supposed to come back, right? Let's get that prophecy real quick. Malachi 4:6. I think it's 5. Behold, Malachi 4:5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the sons, and the heart of the sons to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Right, so they knew that prophecy that Elijah would be coming back. But you got to remember, they stumbled. You know, most of the people stumbled, and they didn't realize that John the Baptist was Elijah. And again, what I'm reading here, what we're reading, this is another example of reincarnation in the Bible, regeneration. All right, you Christians, you don't speak about reincarnation, regeneration, because you don't understand the scriptures. All right, Mark 9 and where we at? 10, verse 11. We'll read it again. And they asked him, saying, Why say the scribes that Elias must come first? And he answered and told them, Elias verily, and verily means truly. So he's like, Elias truly cometh first, and restoreth all things. And how it is written of the Son of Man, that he must suffer many things, and be set at naught. But I say unto you, that Elias is indeed come, and they have done unto him whatsoever they listed, as it is written of him. Right. So let's get that, what they did to Elias, because they didn't understand who he was. Let me actually get a couple verses here. Let me get this is Matthew 16. Let's see what 13 says. Right here. Matthew 16:13. When Yahawahshi came into the coast of Caesarea and Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I am? Say that I, the Son of Man, am. And they said, Some say thou art John the Baptist, some say Elias, which is Elijah, and others Jeremiah, which is Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. Because why? Because they knew about reincarnation. All right? So this is clear for the elect to see. We clearly see reincarnation in the scriptures. You know, Vocab Malone, you're an Edomite, because you read this verse and you still don't see it. So the Lord doesn't show his word to Esau. He only shows it to Jacob. And really, if you can't see regeneration, reincarnation from what I'm reading here, then really the Lord, Yahweh, is just not dealing with you. So he's asking them, who do men say I am? So in verse 15, he saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answers and said, Thou art Hamashiach, the Son of the living power. And so, you know, that's the point. They basically, you know, they confirm in their faith that he was the Son of Yahweh. But he's asking them, who do men say that I am? And when we just read in Mark 9, And he answered and told them, Elias verily cometh first and restoreth all things, just like we read in the prophecy in Malachi, how he's going to turn the minds of the fathers to the sons and the sons to the fathers, and how it is written of the Son of Man that he must suffer many things. But I say unto you that Elias is indeed come, and they have done unto him whatsoever they listed, as it is written of him. So what was he talking about? What did they do to Elias? We just told you that Elias was John the Baptist. We'll grab that in Matthew. Matthew 14 and Matthew 14. This is talking about John the Baptist, right? Who was Elijah. That's why Yahawahshi said, verily, indeed, Elias did come, and they did whatsoever they wanted to with him. I'll just start at the top. It says in 14:1, at that time Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Yahawahshi, and said unto his servants, this is John the Baptist, he is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife, right? Because he was committing adultery with he was with his brother Philip's wife, which her name was Herodias. For John said unto him, it is not lawful for thee to have her. Why? Because he was committing adultery. And John called him out on it. Verse 5, and when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. So he would have just, laid him to death straightway, but because he feared the people, because they looked at John the Baptist as a prophet. In the spirits, they knew, that they knew that he was a prophet. Maybe they didn't know which prophet, just like we always tell you. We know that the prophets are back on the scene, but we don't know who we are. We have, in some cases we have, idea of who certain men are, but we're not for certain. And it'd be an arrogant thing to be sitting here and say, oh yeah, well, I'm Jeremiah the prophet reincarnated, because we don't know, but we know we're reincarnated. We know that, the 144,000 that are teaching on the street corners, the elect, the prophets, are reincarnated, regenerated prophets from the past. Verse 6, because we're reading about what they did to John the Baptist, who was also Elijah the prophet. Verse 6, but when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. So she was, you gotta understand, this was some wicked shit. She was, the daughter, his daughter-in-law, which was literally his niece, right? It was probably Philip's daughter. It was his niece. She's over here dancing for him, all probably lap dancing and shit like that. Because it says that it pleased him, right? Pleased Herod. And then see what happens. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. So he was pleased by her dance, which that was his niece, and his wife, that he was committing adultery with. That was her daughter, Herodias' daughter. Verse 8, and she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger. All right, a charger is like a golden tray or a silver tray, silver platter, right? It says, and she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. So her mom is the one, because she was offended at when John called them out on their adulterous relationship. So she was like telling her daughter, like, hey, Herod's going to ask you what you want. She premeditated this. Herod's going to ask you what you want after you dance for him, and I want you to tell him you want John's head on a silver platter. See? Verse 9, and the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her, and he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Yahawahshi. When Yahawahshi heard of it, he departed thence by a ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Yahawahshi went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. See, it was an emotional situation for Yahawahshi, and he saw the compassion on the believers, right? But this is what he was talking about in Mark 9 and 13, the bottom of your screen. He says, but I say unto you that Elias is indeed come, and they have done unto him whatsoever they listed, as it is written of him. See? So they cut his head off. That's what he's talking about. But he also confirms that Elias indeed came. He verily cameth first. Because remember, John the Baptist, he came before Yahawahshi. He prepared the way before Yahawahshi in the same fashion, that's happening now, because we believe through the Spirit. Abba Bivens was John the Baptist, and also Elijah the prophet. And like I said, the most recent reincarnation or regeneration would have been Abba Bivens, because he did what the same thing John and Elijah did. He prepared the way. He changed the fathers' hearts to the sons, and the sons' hearts to the fathers, meaning our minds. He brought us back into the truth, put us in the right mindset. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and close out on that. I hope the lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praise and all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect.